In 1971, an earthquake hit the San Fernando Valley for 12 seconds. It was a big 12 seconds. It resulted in 64 deaths and $500 million in damages. Now, I know that sounds bad, but actually was celebrated because it could have been worse. A lot worse. In fact, it could have been 1,000 times worse. Okay, technically, it could have been 1,800 times worse. Here are the numbers. It was just 6 feet from being the greatest loss of life in American history. Here's a photo of the dam. The top 30 feet were destroyed by the earthquake, which put it only 6 feet above the water level that held back 3.5 billion gallons of water by a massive stroke of luck. There was a drought that year, and the reservoir was only around half full the day of the earthquake. The water level was 36 feet below the top of the dam, meaning that by the time the world stopped shaking, only 6 feet of structurally compromised concrete stood between the dam and Los Angeles County. This is the picture we get of how close we come to natural disasters. And it's a metaphor of how close we can come to spiritual disasters. Had it not been for the sovereign hand of God, the whole San Fernando Valley could be wiped out. Had it not been for the sovereign hand of God, think about where our world would be. This weekend we heard a message about the conversion of Saul of Tarsus. That Ananias was tasked to go lead him to Jesus. And because of that, he would later be introduced to Barnabas in Jerusalem, who later took him on his first missionary journey, which led him to planting more than a dozen churches and writing 13 books in the New Testament, which has led to billions of people coming to faith. Now, your story may not be as dramatic. It's just as big. My best friend growing up was a guy named Stuart. And when we came to high school, I shared my faith with him, shared my faith with him. And when we came to high school, he decided to go to a Catholic school, even though he was an atheist. And we lost touch. And to this day, Stuart has no faith in Jesus Christ. In my first ministry, San Antonio, Texas, had a group of students come down from a Bible college, and we just did this kind of door-to-door campaign, literally knocking cold turkey on doors and sharing faith with people. One guy, he was a big guy, Hispanic guy, pretty gruff. His Spanish was his native language, so he had kind of an accent. And one of these like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little college students knocked on his door, and they woke him up from a nap. And he throws the door open. He says, "What do you want?" Scared them to death. They told him about Jesus, and he invited them in. And Raimundo Marroquin gave his life to Jesus Christ. He was one knock away from missing an opportunity to meet Jesus. Now, I understand that God is sovereign, and he will lead where he wants to lead and go where he wants to go and protect where he wants to protect. But I just wonder sometimes, how close did you come to not finding faith in Christ? Because the line between Stuart and Ray is often very thin. Well, you're already in. You already know the truth. But are you willing to push the line just 1 degree to the left so that someone you care about can cross the line and find faith in Jesus Christ? There is eternity at stake.